Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Professor Bauer. Welcome to ICT 4005, Technical Foundations. This is week 3 in the fall quarter 2020. Big data. Big data. How big? Bigger than ever before. Let's talk about big data. I think the organization of the topics here is really good. You got knowledge management, and just when you can handle all this stuff, now you're going to start getting lots and lots of content. Big data is really exciting, and there's a lot of pretty cool things that I don't consider myself a data scientist. I know just enough to be dangerous in this field, but I used to be a DBA, and I used to do a lot of SQL, and I watched my job just completely explode over the years, and so I got into big data. I was kind of dragged into it in some ways. We'll talk a little bit about that, but we'll look at overview and the objectives for the week, the assignments, and also a plug for the Zoom room. I'm looking at the papers, should be all graded in time for the Zoom room on Thursday. If you're struggling, by all means show up. Actually, a couple people did last Thursday. We walked through the paper assignment. We actually did research in real time, and so I think the end result of that effort, about a half an hour, was really good for the people who showed up. So if you're struggling on this, I mean, if you're doing great, that's fine. I'm not trying to sell you something you don't need, but if you'd like to be a better writer, if you'd like to be more organized, and if you're freaking out on Sunday night, Sunday afternoon, trying to get these things done, you don't have to. Drop into the Zoom room Thursday, 6:30 Mountain, and we'll go from there. So, week 3, big data. The overview and the learning objectives are here. We're analyzing bigger and bigger data sets, well beyond the sort of field size and record size of traditional databases. I started out on some really old stuff, and DB2 and a bunch of stuff on some sort of mid-range computers and whatnot. Got into the Ashton Tate series and some of the other early stuff that was out there, and finally found a respectable database in SQL. But as soon as I got that down and had my Transact SQL queries all set up, boom, big data hit, and I considered it a real fortune to be able to learn MySQL, NoSQL, Hadoop, a bunch of other, Mongo, some other stuff that, as well as lead about 40 different open source projects in the management of open source networking projects for the Open Networking Foundation. So I got a sense of how open source feels, how to have large corporations like IBM and Hitachi and Deutsche Telekom and British Telecom and China Mobile and Verizon and AT&T all working together on an open source project. In other words, it made more sense to collaborate than it did to build, millions of lines of code to try to differentiate in that particular area. So this is a pretty interesting discussion that we'll have, and looking forward to it. The readings are good. You start out with understanding some of the early structures in relational and hierarchical database and information store modeling. Lots of links out there. The overlap or the collision between open source and big data. Hadoop MapReduce was one of the programs I used a fair amount in my work with large full text data sets, mainly with training certifications in cybersecurity, mapping the content areas and all the text of a particular practice or particular skill set, or one of the areas that the Department of Defense had identified as a key area, and then making sure that the cybersecurity certifications like the CISSP and Network Plus and Security Plus and some of the mid-range stuff, that they mapped appropriately to the content area. In other words, how close was this cert in meeting all the content that was required in the descriptions, the blueprints for these particular job roles. And it was a lot of fun. It took some time to get used to something that didn't have the structures that some of my other SQL work had, but I think it was well worth the time. All right, so you have a big data assignment, double the points, a few more words on this area. Basically, you're going to research and identify an article on the use of open source with big data, and a recent article on the use of Hadoop. I'll do a real short Hadoop tutorial. I'll show you some of the work that we did, and well, you know what we did last week is we just went searching. I knew that KM Magazine was the authoritative source for knowledge management. We started there. We found the definition. You know, we worked together on this. So in a collaborative way, we can help do that as well. 500 to 750 words, so it's not really that long. You know, you got 3 lines of requirements here. You figure each one of those as a paragraph or 2. You're pretty much done by the time you hit that. Just do it in that order, by the way. It makes it easier to grade and easier to remember, and you've crossed it off and you said, okay, got this, got this, got this. So, and as always, remember, the rubric is your friend. It'll help you know if you've met all the requirements there and what they're worth. Okay, don't forget, Zoom Room, 6:30 p.m. On Thursday night, 6:30 Mountain Time, and if you're interested in attending. All right, that's week 3. Go get them, and have a great time. We'll talk to you or see you or interact with you soon. Thanks. Bye-bye now.